You belong here. Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army coast steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that'll be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search Army jobs.
Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411, part 2 of Carly Hired Brook Lynn to Break Up Lulu and Dante, part 2.
It's a good title.
Our longest title ever. Last week we left off on Brook Lynn had just moved into the apartment across the hall from Dante. And
oh, yes. She locked herself out. She's standing there in a towel. Whatever will she do?
I don't know. Let's find out. So this was, what year was this again? 2010. So we are in June of 2010. Back there. At the loft, Dante was curious why Brook Lynn was naked and standing in his doorway. She was wearing a towel.
She was.
Brook Lynn pointed out she was wearing a towel. Would have helped if I had read the next sentence. She explained that she had been in the shower when the cable guy knocked on her door. By the time Brook Lynn had answered the door, the cable guy had left. She feared it would be ages before he returned, so she had decided to try to catch him. As a result, she ended up locking herself out of her apartment. Dante lent Brook Lynn one of his shirts and tried to pick the lock on her door. Lulu found Dante and Brook Lynn in the hallway a short time later. Lulu was surprised by Brook Lynn's state of undress, and Brook Lynn explained what had happened while Dante continued to work on the lock. Dante explained that he had two choices, pick the lock or arrest Brook Lynn for indecent exposure. Lulu smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes, so she smirked.
Mm-hmm.
Brook Lynn sighed with the relief of when Dante finally managed to open her door. Brook Lynn called him her hero, promised to return the shirt, and then slipped into her apartment. Lulu noted, "You're a handy guy to have around, hero." Dante smiled and then kissed Lulu. They returned to the loft. They returned to his loft moments later. When Dante put on a pair of shoes, can I read? While Dante pulled on a pair of shoes, Lulu announced that she had the next 18 hours off, so she was all his. Dante confessed that he had an appointment with a lawyer to discuss Michael's case, but he promised he would return as soon as possible. Lulu thought that Michael was lucky to have a brother like Dante. She assured him that she would be waiting for Dante when he returned. Later, Brook Lynn dropped off the shirt she had borrowed. Lulu was surprised to see that it had been washed and ironed. Of course, Brook Lynn responded. Why do I not think that Brook Lynn now would iron clothes?
No.
She's dry clean only now.
Mm-hmm.
She refused to give Dante a wrinkled mess. Lulu seemed dumbfounded that Brook Lynn owned an iron but no furniture. Fair. Brook Lynn didn't find it odd. She assumed that Lulu also owned an iron. Lulu assured Brook Lynn that she liked her, but she thought that Brook Lynn was pushy by locking herself out of her apartment and always showing off her happy homemaking skills. Lulu staked her claim on Dante and then clarified that she didn't have any intention of sharing Dante with Brook Lynn. Lulu and Brook Lynn were unaware that Dante had arrived home in time to hear the exchange.
Ooh.
At Dante's apartment, Lulu told Brook Lynn not to waste her time going after Dante. She responded that she was not after Dante, and Lulu pointed out that Brook Lynn had shown up at Dante's place wearing a towel and was ironing his shirts. Dante, listening in on the conversation, smiled as Lulu refused to back down. Brook Lynn insisted that Dante was a guy she grew up with. Lulu declared that Brook Lynn wasn't allowed to visit without calling first. Brook Lynn apologized for upsetting Lulu and walked off. Dante revealed himself from his hiding spot, and he told Lulu that he found her territorial attitude sexy and kissed her. Dante thought that he had found a new lawyer that believed Michael's appeal had a good chance. Lulu was unable to get over her irritation at Brook Lynn. Dante claimed that Lulu didn't have to worry about Brook Lynn, but that he liked how Lulu staked a claim on him. Lulu insisted that she wasn't jealous, but he reminded Lulu that Brook Lynn was just family to him. However, Lulu wanted to still get Brook Lynn's spare key back. Dante saw that Lulu was trying to iron the shirt that Brook Lynn had dropped off. Aw, he owns an iron. Dante pointed out that Lulu didn't have to prove her love for him. He joked that if she really needed to prove herself, Lulu could just go around the apartment with nothing but a towel on. Smiling, Lulu exited into the bathroom. Dante looked through his mail and opened a large manila envelope. In it, he found a picture of a man who looked dead on the ground.
Ew.
Yeah. Dante was distracted by a photo of a dead body and was not attentive to Lulu as she would have liked. First, I'm assuming she came out of the bathroom in a towel.
Right.
Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. At first, Lulu thought that Dante was upset with her, but he told her that it was an old case that had come back to haunt him. When Lulu received a call for Maxie, Dante encouraged Lulu to go help Maxie. After Lulu left, Dante called Ronnie to join him. You know what? We don't really have to talk about a lot of this.
Okay.
Basically, Dante goes and starts talking to people about this case, blah, 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 blah. But outside of his loft, Carly and Brook Lynn staged a scene for Lulu to overhear. Carly pretended to be offended with Brook Lynn for going after Dante and threatened to fire her. Lulu rushed out of her apartment and defended Brook Lynn. She told Carly that she was secure in her relationship with Dante and Brook Lynn was not a threat. In the hallway, Lulu appreciated Carly's concern, but she insisted it wasn't necessary to fire Brook Lynn. Lulu insisted that Brook Lynn was like a sister to Dante, so there wasn't any need to fear that she was any kind of a threat to Lulu's relationship with him. Brook Lynn pretended to be embarrassed by the scene and that Carly had made, so she asked Lulu and Carly to keep it down. Brook Lynn insisted that she didn't want Dante to overhear. Lulu confessed that Dante wasn't home, and Carly wondered where he had gone. Lulu quietly admitted that she wasn't sure. Brook Lynn took the opportunity to slip into her apartment while Lulu and Carly entered Dante's loft. Carly apologized, and she claimed that she hadn't intended for Lulu to overhear any of it. Lulu was curious why Carly seemed so certain that Dante would be unfaithful. Carly masterfully played down the scene with Brook Lynn, which only fueled Lulu's curiosity. Eventually, Carly explained that even before they had known they were father and son, everyone noticed the similarities between Sunny and Dante. Ooh, that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a horrible good one, but it's a good cover. Lulu agreed. Carly reminded Lulu how faithless Sunny had been over the years, so she was worried that Dante would turn out to be exactly like his father. Lulu insisted that Dante only had eyes for Lulu and that Sunny had cheated because he had always been emotionally needy. Carly was curious what Lulu knew of Dante's past. Lulu seemed a bit uncomfortable when the direction of the conversation, however, she revealed that Dante hadn't been seriously involved with anyone until he had met Lulu. Carly confided that Sunny was the same way. He made women feel as if they were the only woman in the world for him. Lulu steadfastly insisted that Dante loved her, so she wasn't worried about him cheating on her. Carly backed off, but she urged Lulu to give it some thought if Dante started to behave differently.
Carly's always stirring up trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Carly then went back to Brook Lynn's apartment to knock on the door. When Lulu looked on, Carly informed Brook Lynn that her job was safe thanks to Lulu. After Carly left, Brook Lynn thanked Lulu. Lulu assured Brook Lynn that it wasn't a problem. However, Lulu appeared a bit troubled when she returned to the loft. Carly was on the phone with Brook Lynn and was commenting on her performance in front of Lulu. Carly made plans to meet Brook Lynn the following day to plan their next move and then disconnected the call. At Dante's apartment, Lulu and Dante were lying together after making love. Lulu praised Dante for getting Michael released. Dante was happy that Michael was finally leaving prison, but he realized that Michael living with him might make the apartment a bit crowded. Oh, because that loft, like there was nowhere to go in that loft. Lulu asked Dante to define the perimeters of Michael's release. Dante stated that Michael was going to be his responsibility. Michael would have to have a curfew, an ankle monitor, community service, and be prohibited from seeing Sunny. Dante agreed with the judge's opinion that Sunny was a bad influence and declared he would enforce that completely. Later, Lulu told Brook Lynn that Michael was going to live with Dante as a condition of Michael's release. Brook Lynn commented that Michael's presence might put a damper on Lulu's romance with Dante. Lulu said why Dante agreed to have Michael live with him. She conceded that she and Dante would just have to spend more time at her place, but then Brook Lynn pointed out that Dante had to stay close to Michael. Brook Lynn offered to keep Michael company if Lulu and Dante ever needed some private time. Brook Lynn and Lulu discussed Michael's release at Dante's loft. Brook Lynn insinuated that because of Michael, Lulu and Dante would have less time together. Lulu said that she was proud of Dante and that they would both do whatever it took to get Michael back on his feet. Lulu and Brook Lynn were interrupted by Olivia, who had just left Johnny's and told them what she believed to be true about Johnny's relationship with Christina. She told Lulu that Johnny was self-destructive and begged Lulu to intercede. Olivia said that Johnny had provided no explanation and refused to deny that he was involved with Christina. And then on 6/22 at Carly's house, Brook Lynn assumed that Carly had dropped her vendetta against Dante and Lulu because Michael had been released from Pentonville. Brook Lynn wanted Carly to cut her a check for $10,000 so that they could conclude their business arrangement. Carly made it clear that nothing had changed. She remained determined to destroy Dante and Lulu's relationship. Brook Lynn arrived and reintroduced herself to Michael. She reminded Michael that they were cousins and that she used to babysit him. Then she wondered why Michael looked sad even though he was free from prison. Michael admitted he felt at fault for Jason being in prison. Michael was also sad that he was unable to see Sonny. Michael admitted that he understood why the judge didn't want him to see Sonny, but that didn't stop him from missing his father. Brook Lynn suggested that Dante might mellow towards Sonny and advised Michael to use his time with Dante to get Sonny and Dante closer together. Lulu walked in as Brook Lynn said these words to Michael. Lulu overheard Brook Lynn encouraging Michael to act as a go-between for Dante and Sonny. She interrupted and chastised Brook Lynn severely for encouraging a relationship between Michael and Sonny because it was against the rules of Michael's probation. Brook Lynn said she meant after Michael was off probation. She told Lulu that not everyone agreed with Lulu's assessment of Sonny, and that, like it or not, Sonny was Dante's father, and Sonny loved all his children. Michael agreed with Brook Lynn. They were both calm, but Lulu was visibly upset. After Brook Lynn left, Lulu told Michael not to let Brook Lynn talk him into anything. She was also worried about what would happen to Dante if Jason ran while in Dante's custody. She was sure that Jason would try to get away just so Dante would be sent to prison. Michael turned the tables and told Lulu that she was upset because she was afraid that Dante would turn out like Sonny. He accused her of being jealous and told her that Sonny loved Dante and he did not see that changing ever. Lulu was thoughtful and then said she had to run an errand and left. At the loft, Michael was in the grips of a nightmare about Carter cornering him in the jail cell. Lulu noticed that Michael was twitching and sweating as she entered the living room, so she gently shook him. Michael jolted awake, then wrapped his hands around Lulu's throat. Lulu struggled to breathe as Michael's hands remained clamped tightly around her throat. Michael was startled when he snapped out of his nightmare and realized what he was doing. He immediately released Lulu and then apologized profusely. Lulu slowly recovered from the near strangulation. She assured Michael that she understood that Michael had not intended to hurt her. However, she was curious what Michael had been dreaming about. Michael was vague as he answered prison stuff. Lulu didn't have the opportunity to probe further because Carly suddenly entered the loft. Carly explained that Jason had called her to let her know that he was headed to Los Angeles. Carly thought that Michael might want to spend the night at her home while Dante was out of town. Wasn't that like against the thing? Didn't he have to stay at Dante's?
Does Carly care?
I guess not. Lulu quickly objected. She explained that Dante wanted Michael to stay at the loft. Carly tried to reason with Lulu to no avail. Michael sided with Lulu because he didn't want to risk upsetting the judge. Carly respected her son's decision and then left. A short time later, Carly entered the lobby of the Metro Court to find Brook Lynn waiting for her. Carly was furious because Lulu had denied Michael's opportunity to spend the night at Carly's while Dante was out of town. Carly wanted to know how fast Brook Lynn could get Dante into bed. Carly insisted that Brook Lynn speed up the seduction, but Brook Lynn pointed out that she couldn't do anything while Dante was away. Like, duh, I can't do anything. He's in a different town.
Nope.
And then July 29th at Kelly's, Dante didn't think that Brook Lynn realized what a slow-motion train wreck Johnny was. Brook Lynn warned Dante to back off, but Dante seized the opportunity to fill Brook Lynn in on Johnny's recent attempt to use Christina to get to Sonny. Brook Lynn made it clear that she didn't have a problem with Johnny, but she promised to talk to Dante if that changed. Dante wasn't satisfied. He accused Dante of being a player, and Johnny suggested that Dante was just like Sonny. According to Johnny, Dante was staking a claim on Brook Lynn. Like Sunny, Dante wanted to have one woman in love with him while another woman waited in the wings. Brook Lynn appreciated Dante's concern, but she asked him to stop making a scene. However, Dante and Johnny continued to argue. Johnny accused Dante of trying to protect Sunny. Dante fired back that Johnny didn't want justice for Claudia because Sunny hadn't killed Claudia. Johnny argued that Sunny had set the events into motion that had led to Claudia's death. Dante warned Brook Lynn that Johnny was just using her, and Dante wanted Brook Lynn to leave with him. Brook Lynn hesitated for a moment, but then stood up and walked away with Dante. Dante was lecturing Brook Lynn when they arrived at the loft. He ordered her not to get involved with Johnny. Brook Lynn warned Dante that he had overstepped his bounds, but Dante explained that Johnny intended to use Brook to get to Sunny. Brook Lynn argued that it didn't make sense since she was not particularly close to Sunny, and Dante reminded her that she was close to Dante so that could be used to Johnny's advantage. Brook Lynn wondered if Dante wanted her for himself. Dante didn't have a chance to respond because Lulu entered the living room. Lulu had overheard the heated exchange. Dante explained that Johnny had been hitting on Brook Lynn. Brook Lynn begged Lulu to reason with Dante, but Lulu assured Brook Lynn that Dante was just concerned. Frustrated, Brook Lynn made it clear that she was old enough to make her own decisions. After Brook Lynn stormed out of the loft, Lulu admitted that she was curious why Dante was worried about Brook Lynn. Lulu agreed that Brook Lynn was not so close to Sunny. Lulu was taken aback when Dante admitted that he cared about Brook Lynn. She suggested that perhaps Brook Lynn had been correct when she was accusing Dante of being jealous. Dante was hurt that Lulu would doubt his love for her. Lulu softened as she admitted that he had shown her what real love was. She promised him that there wasn't any room in her heart for anyone else but him. Great answer. Dante smiled with approval. They were cute together.
And those dimples.
Mm-hmm.
And then in August at the Metro Court, Carly demanded that Brook Lynn get Dante into bed. Brook Lynn said that she had tried, but what?
I just love that sentence. Like, get that man into bed right now. Like, you don't have to have some type of consensual something to have that happen.
Yeah. But that when Dante was not working, he was with Lulu. Carly said that she would get Lulu out of the picture, but expected Brook Lynn to get Dante into bed and take lots of pictures. Dante went home to Lulu. She was on her way out to have dinner with Carly and Michael. She told Dante that Carly had been insistent on a family dinner. Lulu noticed that Dante had something on his mind. When she persisted, he told her what Johnny had said about being framed and about Dante's blind spot with Sunny. Lulu said she believed that Sunny was capable of framing Johnny. She said she also agreed with Johnny that Dante was conflicted about Sunny. She said that where she differed from Johnny was that she believed that once Dante had taken everything into account, he would always land on the right side of the line. Dante and Lulu shared several kisses before she left on the elevator. At the Metro Court, Carly pretended to have a good time with Lulu and Michael. After inviting Lulu to a family picnic on the weekend and agreeing that Dante could attend with her, Carly left to check on Jocelyn. Michael also excused himself to make a quick trip to Dante's, which left a puzzled Lulu alone. Holding her robe, Brook Lynn knocked on Dante's door and asked to take a shower. She said that her hot water was out, and after the shower, Brook Lynn, in a short robe, asked for a glass of wine, and Dante told her to help herself. And then Carly returned to the table to discover that Michael had left. Carly immediately called Michael on the phone, but the call went to his voicemail. Lulu explained that Michael didn't want Carly to worry. Carly acknowledged that she should be grateful that Michael was free to walk around, unlike Jason, who was back in Pentonville. Lulu was sorry about how things had worked out. Carly was concerned about how Michael was dealing with Jason's incarceration because Jason had always been there for Michael. Carly wondered if Michael had said anything about it. Lulu insisted that Michael had been doing very well living at Dante's, so she was confident that Michael was getting back to normal. Carly bit her tongue as Lulu proceeded to sing Dante's praises. Carly imagined that it couldn't be easy for Michael to sleep on a couch and not have a room of his own, but Lulu promised Carly that Michael didn't mind. Lulu insisted that the most important thing was that Michael had a positive role model like Dante. She suggested that Carly should be grateful for that. Carly's mind wandered as she imagined reaching across the table to grab Lulu's hair in a fierce grip. In the fantasy, Carly blasted Lulu for failing to see that Michael was far from fine. Carly was certain that something inside Michael was broken because of the time he had spent in Pentonville. Carly vowed to make Lulu and Dante pay for sending Michael to jail. As the daydream faded, Carly apologized for not being more grateful. She explained that she was just concerned about her son. Unaware of Carly's true thoughts, Lulu assured Carly that Michael was fine. Carly explained that she wanted to call Sonny to see if Michael had gone to see his father. In reality, Carly took the opportunity to text message, who says that anymore? To text. But back in 2010, I think we kind of did still say that. To text Brook Lynn to tell her to stop the seduction. Brook Lynn replied, too late. Carly hid her annoyance and then looked up to explain that Sonny hadn't answered. Oh, this was also really before we had cameras on our phones.
Mm-hmm.
Before that was like absolutely everybody had one.
Right.
I think. Maybe we just didn't use them as much.
I think they were like very limited still. Like they would take that one, like you'd hear the click one picture and it was like still real grainy and
great. Yeah.
It was not
as clear and crisp as we have now.
Right. Now the cameras on your phone are like an actual camera pretty much. But back then it was like using a kid's camera. It would come out all grainy and crappy.
It was not good quality.
No.
So Carly hid her annoyance and then looked up to explain that Sonny hadn't answered. Lulu didn't think that Michael would risk incurring the judge's wrath by going to see Sonny. Carly changed the subject as she suggested that it might be hard for Lulu and Dante to have Michael underfoot. Lulu insisted that it wasn't a problem, but Carly sensed that Lulu was hiding something. Lulu admitted that she was trying to find a balance between keeping her own identity and loving Dante. Yup. Carly understood Lulu's concerns because Carly had lost herself in a relationship with Sonny. As Carly talked about Sonny, she seized the opportunity to subtly suggest that Dante might not remain faithful. At Dante's, Brook Lynn and Dante reminisced about their days in Bensonhurst. Dante acknowledged that if he had ever laid a hand on Brook Lynn, her grandfather, Carmine, would have hurt him. Brook Lynn admitted that she had seen Dante through different eyes when she had first performed at Jake's. Okay, so going back to, they did not have a little crush on each other at...
Right.
Although, no, because Carly found that picture of them when they were younger, and it looked like Brook Lynn was smitten. So there is something, at least in that, there was something in that picture that led to Carly having this thought.
Yes, but I feel like back then the way it was presented was that Brook Lynn had a crush on Dante and it never went anywhere.
Oh, yeah,
it was like he did think of her as his little sister and there was nothing that went there. And now suddenly we're going to try to change the storyline.
Yes. And then at Dante's loft, Dante joined her on the sofa as they joked and flirted back and forth. Brook Lynn reached over to kiss Dante, but Dante gently pushed her away and then stood up. Dante immediately apologized for giving her the wrong impression. He conceded that he might have inadvertently sent her mixed signals, but he insisted that he was in love with Lulu. Brook Lynn assured Dante that it was okay. She understood that he didn't return her feelings. Brook Lynn was teary-eyed as she tried to blame the kiss on the wine and then asked Dante not to tell anyone about what had happened. They were startled when Michael entered the loft. Michael immediately sensed that he had walked in on something, so he offered to leave. Dante insisted that Michael stay, and then explained that Brook Lynn had to use the shower and she had been caught in the rain.
Do you belong here? Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army coast steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that'll be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search Army jobs.
Meanwhile, Brook Lynn's cell phone rang, so she scrambled to find it. Once she located it, she collected her things and left. Dante admitted that the situation had looked bad, but he assured Michael that nothing happened with her. Dante reminded Michael that he and Brook Lynn had known each other for a long time and they were just friends. Michael admitted that he didn't recall Brook Lynn looking so hot before. This is so weird now.
Yes, it is.
I was thinking about this earlier too when they were talking about Brook Lynn kind of being into Johnny, and it's like, oh, your mother-in-law, or no, your stepmom used to date him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dante agreed that Brook Lynn was beautiful and then told Michael about the kiss. However, Dante was clear that it had been one-sided. Dante explained that she had been embarrassed about the entire incident, so she didn't want anyone to know. Moments later, Lulu arrived home. Dante happily greeted Lulu, but he didn't mention the incident with Brook Lynn. Meanwhile, Lulu let Michael know that Carly had been trying to reach him. Michael decided to leave, but Lulu assured him that he didn't have to go anywhere. Michael appreciated it, but he opted to give Dante and Lulu some space. At the Metro Court restaurant, Brooklyn met up with Carly to update her on what happened at Dante's loft. Carly made it clear that she didn't want Michael involved, but Brooklyn reminded Carly that Michael lived at the loft, so it wasn't something that could be avoided. Carly conceded that everything would have been perfect if Michael hadn't walked in on Brooklyn and Dante. Brooklyn wasn't happy about what had happened, but Carly didn't care. Carly was happy to know that Dante was more like Sonny than she had thought.
But he wasn't. He stood up and said no and apologized for sending mixed signals. He didn't hook up with her and then be like, oh, sorry, I sent a mixed signal there. He just stood up from the kiss. He was not the same.
Yep.
All right. On 8/16, Brooklyn called Dante. She asked him to pick her up at Jake's. She told him that she had problems and really needed a friend. Carly overheard the conversation. Before leaving the table, she told Brooklyn that she and Dante better end up a whole lot more than friends. Lulu went to the police station to see Lucky. She told him she needed some advice about Dante from a guy's perspective. Lucky wanted to know if something was wrong, but Lulu said no. She said that she was very happy with the way things were, and so was Dante. She said the fly in the ointment was Olivia, who had scolded Dante about not making a marriage proposal. Lulu said she was not ready to get married, and neither was Dante. She told Lucky that since Olivia's interference, she was afraid that Dante would propose too soon. Dante met Brooklyn at Jake's. She was tearful and told him that she was having a panic attack and did not know what to do about it. She told him that she was an amazing singer, or he told her that she was an amazing singer and had nothing to worry about. But Brooklyn said that if she did not have any direction and wondered if she should take Edward's offer to move in with the Quartermains and return to school. Brooklyn said,
the information? Do you want what the fly in the ointment means?
I'm assuming it's like,
I've never heard that phrase before. It refers to a drawback or negative factor that spoils something that could have been positive or enjoyable. The phrase likely comes from the biblical book of Ecclesiastes 10:1, which says, "Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor."
Okay. I have absolutely never heard that before. Like there are a thousand phrases like that mean the same thing. Like I understood what it meant, but I have never heard that before.
Me neither.
I'm gonna start saying that now. That's a real fly in the ointment. Like,
let's get it started. Maybe it's a regional thing though, but still, I mean, we're still in the northeastern. I mean, we're mid-Atlantic, but like we're still, All right, continue. Sorry.
And especially since Lulu was younger, like if it would have been like Lila who said that, I would be like, oh, okay. Right. But Lulu to be like, oh, the fly in the ointment. What?
From now on, when I'm disappointed, man, that was a real fly in the ointment.
And everyone is going to be like, what? But okay. Brooklyn said that nothing made her happy because unlike Dante, she did not know what she wanted out of life. Dante told her to calm down and breathe while Dante took a phone call that gave him the particulars of Jason's release. Brooklyn got beers. While Dante was not looking, Brooklyn spiked the bottle. Unaware that the beer was drugged, Dante started drinking it as he and Brooklyn continued their conversation. And then at the police station, Lulu and Lucky talk more about marriage. Lulu suggests that saying "I do" seemed to be the fastest way to kill a relationship. Lucky was bothered by his sister's cynicism. Lulu shrugged as she explained that's what she had to do. That what she had to do with Dante worked.
That what she had with Dante.
What she's doing with Dante worked. Sorry. That she didn't want to ruin it with talk of marriage. Lulu realized that happily ever after doesn't exist, which made her wonder why people got married. Like he conceded that vows and a piece of paper don't make a difference. It was human nature to mess up, and the relationships. I can't read either. It's like going around. Like he conceded that vows and a piece of paper didn't make a difference. It was human nature that messed up relationships because people had unrealistic expectations. According to Lucky, too many made assumptions about their loved ones, which eventually led to great disappointments. Lucky advised Lulu to run if a guy ever told her that she completed him. He explained that if a guy wasn't whole, then he wouldn't be good for anyone else. Lulu was a bit taken aback by her brother's attitude, Lucky advised Lulu not to make assumptions about what was troubling Dante. Lucky insisted that Lulu and Dante had to be honest with each other if they hoped to make their relationship work. Oh, look at all that good advice Lucky's given.
I know.
And then at Jake's, Brook Lynn confesses to Dante that it was kind of him to race to her rescue when she had called. Dante wondered if Brook Lynn felt better. Brook Lynn admitted that she hadn't had a panic attack in quite some time, but it had subsided. Dante saluted her as he assured her that he had been happy to be of assistance. He accidentally knocked her purse over as he lowered his arm. Dante leaned down to gather the contents that spilled out of her purse. Dante held up a bottle of pills as he straightened. He was curious what they were for. Brook Lynn explained that they were for her allergies and then tucked them back into her purse. Dante warned her to be careful not to mix them with alcohol. After Dante took a long sip of his beer, he commented that the alcohol had seemed particularly potent that evening. Brook Lynn smiled but didn't say anything. Coleman delivered 2 more bottles of beer and then conversationally asked Dante how things were going. Dante began to gush about his love for Lulu, so Coleman pulled up a chair. I miss Coleman.
No.
Coleman pulled up a chair and then sat down. Coleman was curious what Brook Lynn and Dante could tell him about Kate's life in Bensonhurst. Brook Lynn admitted that it had been a little before her time, but she had heard stories about the Falconeri cousins. Dante playfully insisted that his mother had been a saint. Brook Lynn didn't disagree, but she explained that Kate hadn't married, so she had been considered a black sheep like Brook Lynn. After Coleman left, Dante seemed genuinely surprised that Brook Lynn felt like an outcast. Brook Lynn could tell that Dante was feeling the effects of the drugs that she had slipped in his drink, so she began to talk about her crush on him. Brook Lynn couldn't believe that he hadn't known how she felt about him. Dante admitted that Brook Lynn had changed from the young tomboy that he remembered to the warm and vulnerable woman that she had grown into. He requested that she wear more clothes whenever she was around him because he was only human. Dante then asked for reassurance that they were still friends. Brook Lynn promised him that they were, so she offered to take him home and then tuck him into bed. Shortly after they left, Lulu showed up at the bar looking for Dante. Coleman explained that she had just missed her boyfriend. However, before Lulu could leave, Coleman asked her for a favor. Coleman wanted to know Kate's itinerary so that he could surprise her. Lulu didn't think that Kate would approve of her sharing the information with anyone, including Coleman, but Coleman refused to give up. He eventually wore Lulu down by suggesting that he might be able to keep Kate out of town for a few extra days, which would give Lulu some extra freedom. Lulu quickly pulled out her cell phone. That was weird. That was weird. At the loft, Brook Lynn helped Dante to the sofa. Dante was staggering and slurring his words, but Brook Lynn decided to fetch 2 more beers. Brook Lynn reminded him of her crush on him and then questioned if he ever wondered about them. Dante seemed confused about what she was asking, so Brook Lynn leaned forward to kiss Dante. Things quickly heated up between them. When Lulu arrived at the loft a short time later, she found Brook Lynn half-dressed, sitting on Dante's lap. Dante's hands roamed all over Brook Lynn's body while they passionately kissed. At the loft, Lulu shouted, "Get off of him, you disgusting bitch," as she shoved Brook Lynn off of Dante's lap. Lulu ordered Brook Lynn to leave, but Brook Lynn suggested that it was Dante's call to make. Brook Lynn advised Dante to call her when he was done with, quote, "this bitch." Lulu viciously slapped Brook Lynn, but Brook Lynn was quick to return the slap with equal force. Brook Lynn then dared Lulu to try to take a piece of her. Lulu shoved Brook Lynn to the door. After Lulu slammed the door closed on Brook Lynn, she turned to Dante. Dante seemed oblivious in the drama that had unfolded between them. "You swore that you loved me," Lulu cried. "I did?" Dante asked. Dante staggered to the kitchen to splash his face with cold water, but it didn't help. Dante remained dazed and confused about who Lulu was. Lulu began to suspect that Dante had been drugged, so she helped him to bed and then put a cold compress on his forehead. As Dante rambled about how beautiful Lulu was, Lulu decided to take advantage of Dante's drugged state by asking him a few questions. She was curious if Dante had ever been tempted to do something like that he shouldn't, like cheat on his girlfriend. Nope, Dante answered. However, Lulu sensed that he was hiding something, so she asked if he was keeping anything from her. Dante explained that he couldn't talk about it because they had both given their word not to say anything. Lulu tried to find out who he was talking about, but Dante passed out. Lulu admitted to herself that she was a cynic who was afraid to trust. Michael entered the loft moments later. He immediately realized that something was wrong. Lulu revealed that she had walked in on Dante and Brook Lynn. Michael wondered if he could help, so Lulu asked him to keep an eye on Dante to make certain that he kept breathing. Lulu called Brook Lynn a slut and then informed Michael that she intended to make that pay. After Lulu stormed out, Michael glanced at his brother, who remained sound asleep. Michael admitted that he didn't want to be in Dante's shoes in the morning.
Then Dante woke up in his bed to find Michael standing over him. Michael explained that Dante had been pretty wasted and had been going at it pretty heavy with Brook Lynn the night before. Michael also informed Dante that Lulu had witnessed the spectacle. Dante wondered if he had been drugged. The last thing he remembered was having a few beers at Jake's with Brook Lynn. Michael added that Brook Lynn seemed to have been a willing participant, and Dante went to find Lulu to repair the damage. Maxie arrived at Crimson and sensed that Lulu was upset. Lulu told her that Dante had been stoned the prior night and that he and Brook Lynn were half naked and all over each other. Maxie replied that being wasted was the oldest excuse in the book, but Lulu defended Dante and said that she had never seen him in that state before. Lulu and Maxie both agreed that Brook Lynn would be capable of drugging someone.
Oh, wow.
Dante showed up at Crimson with flowers and cupcakes and begged Lulu to forgive him. He declared his undying and abiding love for her and swore that he had not done anything with Brook Lynn intentionally. He explained to Lulu that Brook Lynn had called him upset and asked for him to meet her at Jake's. He went on to say that the two had a couple beers and that was the last thing he remembered. Lulu assured Dante that she wouldn't hold the incident against him, but that she was furious at Brook Lynn. Dante told Lulu how much he loved her and they kissed. Lulu shared with Dante that he had been out of it and he talked about something from his past that he regretted. Lulu was intrigued, but Dante hadn't gone into detail. Maxie returned and shared that she had run into Brook Lynn in front of Kelly's and that Brook Lynn lied about having drugged Dante. That girl is guilty as sin, Maxie spit. Dante left and later Olivia arrived. Lulu called her to talk about what had happened. Lulu explained that she believed Brook Lynn was trying to sabotage Lulu and Dante's relationship. She further explained that she was pretty sure Brook Lynn had drugged Dante. Olivia was flabbergasted. Dante arrived, having asked Brook Lynn to meet him there. He arrived somewhere. He asked her to tell him what had happened the night before. Brook Lynn played it off as if she believed that Dante had been distraught and that she was just being a friend. Dante asked her point blank if she had drugged him. At Crimson, Lulu explained to Olivia that Brook Lynn and Dante had been intimate the night before. Lulu confided in the past. They didn't actually.
No.
They were hot and heavy, but they weren't.
No.
Lulu confided in the past Lulu had been drugged and thrown herself at Dante, but that Dante hadn't taken advantage of the situation. However, she pointed out Brook Lynn hadn't been as gallant. Olivia was shocked to think that Brook Lynn would have seduced Dante, knowing he was not in his right mind, but she admitted that it was a possibility. She didn't believe it, though, that Brook Lynn had been the one to slip Dante a roofie. Olivia said that it was likely one of Dante's enemies. Dante and Brook Lynn sat at a sidewalk table outside of Kelly's. Brook Lynn asked Dante how he could think she would have drugged him. As she spoke, her voice crackled until she broke down in tears. She claimed that she had really believed that Dante wanted to be with her. Dante chalked the incident up to someone having tried to drug Brook Lynn at Jake's, but that maybe he'd drunk the tainted beer by accident. He questioned, however, why Brook Lynn hadn't noticed something had been off that night. Brook Lynn told him that she had been drunk, so she hadn't been acting herself either, and Dante apologized to Brook Lynn for having doubted her. At the loft, Dante had a dream about waking up to find he wasn't in bed alone. In the dream, Dante began to kiss Lulu's shoulders, but he freaked out when he realized it was Brook Lynn. Dante woke up with a start, which awakened Michael, who had been sleeping on the sofa. Michael wondered if everything was okay, and Dante assured Michael yes, and then explained that he had had a nightmare. Moments later, someone knocked on the door. Dante opened the door to find Lulu standing on his doorstep with 2 cups of coffee, one for herself and the other for Michael. Ooh. Michael took the coffee, straightened up, and then started to leave, but Dante wanted to clear the air first. Why wouldn't she bring him coffee? She said that she was okay. Lulu admitted that she couldn't get past the fact that she had found Dante with his tongue down Brook Lynn's throat. Michael admitted that Dante had been genuinely surprised when he learned about the incident with Brook Lynn, so it was clear Dante had been drugged. After Michael left, Lulu confessed she didn't think Dante should have been out drinking with Brook Lynn in the first place. Dante? Dante promised he had not cheated on Lulu. Lulu believed him, but she couldn't forget what she had seen. Dante insisted that he loved Lulu. Lulu began to soften towards him. She started to respond to his kiss until Brook Lynn pounded on the door, demanding to talk to Dante. Dante wanted to ignore Brook Lynn, but she explained that it was important. Lulu marched over to the door and threw it open. Brook Lynn didn't appreciate Lulu's hostility. According to Brook Lynn, she had been as much of a victim as Dante had been. Lulu was outraged because Brook Lynn had taken advantage of Dante's drug state. Brook Lynn claimed that she had been drunk, so she had believed everything that Dante had told her. Brook Lynn claimed that, drugged or not, Dante made it clear that he was attracted to Brook Lynn. Dante quickly interceded. He made it clear that Lulu was the only woman he wanted to be with. Dante didn't want to hurt Brook Lynn, but he needed her to understand that he was in love with Lulu. Lulu smugly offered to write it down for Brook Lynn so that she would be able to understand it better. Brook Lynn valued Dante's friendship too much to continue arguing, but she let Dante know that she would be waiting when Dante grew tired of Lulu. After Brook Lynn left, Dante could tell that Lulu was upset. You think? So he reminded her that he loved her. Lulu wanted to believe him, but she acknowledged that Brook Lynn and Dante had a long history together. Dante insisted that Brook Lynn was like a sister to him. He argued that his drug state hadn't been anything different than when Lulu had been drugged. Dante reminded her that she had begged him to have sex with her, but he hadn't because he had known that it wasn't what Lulu truly wanted. Lulu suggested they might need some space to reevaluate their relationship. Dante begged Lulu to reconsider. He didn't think he could live without Lulu. Dante knew that he'd fall in love one day, but he had expected it to hit him out of nowhere instead of slowly building over time. Lulu had made him work for it, so she had taught him an important lesson. Dante cherished her because he had gotten to know her and trust her, which was why he couldn't imagine losing her. Dante feared that losing her would kill him. So there was no lightning bolt, Lulu wondered, as she started to smile. Dante began to relax as Lulu admitted that she liked what he had told her, but it hadn't been enough for her to forgive him. Dante promised to do anything, so Lulu whispered a suggestion in his ear. Dante's smile deepened as he admitted it would give him pleasure to accommodate her. Lulu and Dante kissed and then began to make love. At Kelly's, Brook Lynn was offended by Michael's suggestion that Carly had hired her to break up Dante and Lulu. Michael apologized, but he explained that he knew his mother. He also admitted that he had overheard Brook Lynn ordering an expensive piece of furniture on the phone when he had first entered the diner. We were shopping online by that point, but whatever. Michael pointed out that it raised questions because Brook Lynn was supposed to have been broke. Brook Lynn insisted that the idea of her working for Carly to wreck Dante's relationship with Lulu was far-fetched. Michael wasn't moved by the argument. He knew that his mother held a grudge for a long time, so he was certain that she had been plotting something with Brook Lynn. Lulu strolled into Kelly's moments later. Lulu immediately approached the table to warn Brook Lynn not to bother trying to manipulate Michael to further her agenda with Dante. Lulu warned Brook Lynn that she would still have to go through Lulu, and Lulu refused to budge. Brook Lynn informed Lulu that Michael was her cousin as well as Lulu's, so Brook Lynn had every right to talk to him whenever she liked. Brook Lynn was curious why Lulu wasn't with Dante if Lulu's relationship with Dante was so strong. Because you don't spend 24/7 with them.
Right.
Brook Lynn reminded Lulu that she was friends with Dante long before he knew Lulu, so Brook Lynn was confident in their friendship would continue long after Lulu disappeared from Dante's life. Lulu was curious if Brook Lynn had missed the part where Lulu had warned her that she wasn't going anywhere. Brook Lynn smiled as she revealed those were famous last words of all of Dante's ex-girlfriends. Lulu's smile disappeared as she accused Brook Lynn of being a two-faced beep. Michael jumped in to intercede before things turned violent between Lulu and Brook Lynn. He suggested that Brook Lynn back off. Brook Lynn admitted that she had thought about it and then decided not to.
And then on 8:30, Brook Lynn and Carly had a meeting at the Metro Court. Brook Lynn told Carly that she had successfully caused Lulu and Dante to break up. Carly wanted proof. Brook Lynn said that she heard a loud argument between them. Carly wanted to know why Brook Lynn had not recorded it on her cell phone and delivered the evidence. Carly said that Brook Lynn had not succeeded. Carly said that Brook Lynn just wanted to take the money and run without delivering on their deal. Brook Lynn admitted that she had not finished the job. She told Carly that she had done her part, but Dante was too in love with Lulu. Brook Lynn said that she wanted her money and that if she didn't get it, she would tell Lulu and Dante the truth. Carly called her bluff. Brook Lynn went to Dante's apartment and told Lulu that Carly had been behind the scheme to break up Lulu and Dante. Lulu did not believe her and called Carly over to the apartment. When Carly arrived, Lulu asked Carly to look her in the eye and say that Brook Lynn was lying. Instead, Carly proudly admitted what she had done. Carly admitted that it was true, but Carly claimed that she had done it out of love and concern for Lulu. Carly insisted that she had been worried that Dante was just like Sunny. Brook Lynn refused to let Carly twist things around to paint Brook Lynn as the villain. Brook Lynn urged Lulu to remember that Carly was a vengeful person who didn't forgive easily. Lulu reminded Brook Lynn that Brook Lynn had accepted money to have sex with someone, so Brook Lynn didn't have any credibility. Carly seized the opportunity to capitalize on the headway that she had made with Lulu by admitting that she had been wrong about Dante. Carly apologized for doubting Dante's commitment to Lulu and then expressed regret for dragging Brook Lynn into their lives. Carly ordered Brook Lynn to move out of the loft and return to Bensonhurst. Brook Lynn realized that Lulu believed Carly, so she left. Alone with Lulu, Carly once again expressed remorse for hurting her cousin. Lulu accepted the apology. And then at Crimson, Maxie noticed that Lulu had immersed herself in work, which usually only happened when something was troubling Lulu. Lulu admitted that Brook Lynn had been exposed as a lying, manipulating slut, and that Brook Lynn was out of their lives for good. Lulu then revealed the details of Carly's plans for Brook Lynn to seduce Dante. Maxie wasn't surprised that Brook Lynn had agreed to go along with Carly's plans. However, Maxie was impressed with Carly. According to Maxie, Carly had proved that Dante wasn't like Sunny, so it had been a brilliant plan. Lulu referred to Brook Lynn as a skank and told Maxie how Brook Lynn had tried to deny being interested in Dante. Maxie confessed that she had seen through Brook Lynn from the beginning because it takes one to know one. Lulu objected to Maxie putting herself in the same category as Brook Lynn. Maxie reminded Lulu that Maxie had once faked a pregnancy and then a miscarriage. Lulu insisted that the difference had been that Maxie had gone after Lucky because it had been a choice, not because someone had paid Maxie. Lulu also argued that Maxie had taken full responsibility for her actions instead of trying to blame someone else, as Brook Lynn had done.
The end.
That just throws us into Maxie. She put it all out there. Maxie was like, I'll take accountability. I'm not much better.
Yeah, that's all the further that I went because I was like, I'm not going any further seeing what did Brook Lynn stick around, all that. Because we all know by now, Brook Lynn and Lulu do not like each other.
Exactly.
Well, that was a fun little trip down memory lane.
It was. I can't believe it was that long ago.
I know. I mean, just about 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and we still have all these people, and we have Lucky back.
Yes.
Yay. So yeah, I guess join us on Monday and see if they mention anything else about Carly, Brook Lynn, Lulu, Dante, or it's more what we're focusing on now is the Dante, Brook Lynn past thing.
Yes. So, hopefully not. Maybe they'll just kill it and we won't have to hear any more about it because I don't want that to have happened.
That was a suggestion we had. Just let it drop. Let it go.
Yes.
We don't need it. Don't need it at all.
Absolutely.
So yeah, join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.
You belong here. Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army coast steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that'll be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search Army jobs.